gentlemen,
Cool.
I am joined right now by someone that I've known for a number of years in this wrestling business, someone who has gone by a few different names. He is currently known as BUFFA. You can see him along with the Boombox on MKW Blastoff on a weekly basis, doing his thing in China. But before you were BUFFA, you were, when I first knew you, you were Coolie K. But even before that, I think you were K Pusha.
Yeah.
Part of a tag team called All Money is Legal.
Sir. K Pusha.
Yeah. And, you know, before we even met, it was my buddy Sexy Eddie who was going to work in Jersey All Pro. And he'd come back, he'd tell me all the stories, and he'd be like, man, there's this tag team called All Money is Legal. And these guys, man, they're legit. You know, the gimmick, the in-ring, just these guys are one of the best tag teams on the independents. He would put you guys over, and I think a lot of our audience might not be familiar with that time in your career. So maybe you could take us back to the days of All Money is Legal and how that came about.
All Money is Legal was me and my brother, K Murder. This is way before the Boombox, way before the house party. You know, we got into wrestling in 1993, which is crazy because people look back at wrestling in 93 as like the down times, you know. Business wasn't as good. They wasn't producing many stars, but we got hooked. And it was by accident because we were fans of X-Men. So we used to watch the cartoon on Fox, and they was giving a replay, so we was like, man, we saw this one already, so let's just flip through the channels. Because we didn't grow up as wrestling fans. Then we came across WWF Superstars, and from then we were hooked. It's like, these guys look like superheroes. And they're in the ring, and they're wrestling, they're fighting, they have these characters. So it was an instant, like, hook for us. Ever since then, we wanted to be pro wrestlers.
That's good. That's good. I mean, myself was right around the same time, too, that I first saw Superstars, and it was almost the exact same journey. A couple of years younger than you, but it seems like we got into the love of wrestling around the same time. Who were some of your favorites growing up?
Yeah. Oh, man. My first favorite, and to this day is still my favorite, was the 1-2-3 Kid, X-Pac, Sean Waltman, Lightning Kid, Six Pac. Yeah, man, because when I first saw him, I was like, man, this guy is small. You know, I think the first wrestling match I actually sat through was Lex Luger versus the Quebecers. And he beat both of them and Johnny Polo in the same match. And I was like, what the hell? This guy's jacked and he beat freaking 3 big guys. And I see 1-2-3 Kid, and he just came off win over Razor Ramon, who was also jacked. I'm like, wow, I think we can do this, man.
Wow.
So that got us hooked. Like, we were fans of 1-2-3 Kid, and still am today, man.
Wow. And it's interesting because I actually remember when those matches were happening. You know, here seeing the Quebecers, that was kind of cool for us, being from Montreal, Quebec.
For sure, man.
I actually have an interesting history with both of them, being that Jacques from the Quebecers is actually who trained me. And Carl Ouellet, PCO, Quebecer Pierre, I work with him now on his weekly TV series, PCO Justice. And so I've been getting to know him a lot more. Had the chance to work with him in the ring. He's been something of a mentor to me. So I got a special connection to those guys. And I do feel that the only reason Lex was able to beat them as jacked as he was because he had that steel plate in his forearm.
Yes, for the motorcycle accident.
Yeah, I think that was a big storyline going into that match. But yeah, I love the 1-2-3 Kid too.
It was.
My favorite memory was seeing him beat these big guys. Like around that same time, I remember he did a match with Bastion Booger. Who was like 10 times his size, and he managed to beat him. I think he might have got it by count out, but to me, watching that, just looking at the two of them, I'm like, man, he doesn't stand a chance. And he took the fight to that guy, and he was a great underdog. Did you ever get the chance to work with him?
Oh, man.
No?
No, man. I never even got a chance to meet him.
Wow.
It's like whenever I came back to the States to visit, he was on the show that I worked for like a month after I left. So I never got the chance to meet him, man. Yeah, sucks. But he says he's making a comeback, so I'm just hoping for, like, you know, the opportunity in the future.
Yeah, because he's
Just to
popped
meet
up.
him, you know.
He's popped up on the independents in a lot of
But
different
that'll be a
places.
dream match for sure.
He's
For
still
me,
he's still pretty active.
that'll be
We
cool.
actually had his good friend Justin Credible on an episode, and we talked a bit about his run where it was Aldo Montoya and the 1-2-3 Kid, and they even reunited a few years back as Aldo and 1-2-3 Kid. So I know he's still
Oh
out
yeah,
there. Yeah. They
yeah. That's
that's
crazy.
that's like a dream team from our childhood, pretty much. But
Yeah.
yeah, they reunited, and so I think he's still out there, and I think there's still a window for that match to happen. Now,
Oh, for sure.
going back to All Money Is Legal. Like I said, you guys were one of the preeminent tag teams to come out of the Jersey area. I believe you're from Jersey, right?
The Bronx.
The Bronx. Okay, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah,
I always
Bronx, New York.
get them confused. I
Yeah,
like
but
you.
yeah, I mean, Jersey, New York. It's
And
kind of
I
the
mean,
same.
around that same time, the two teams I remember hearing the most about was you guys and the Maximos and SAT.
Oh, yes, SAT, yes.
So I
Yeah,
imagine
man.
you guys must have had some matches together at some point that I'm
Ooh,
sure must have
man.
been show stealers.
Oh, for sure, man. Those guys helped us out a lot in our career, like in the early going. They taught us a lot. We wrestled, man, so many times, man. All types of crazy matches, you know. And those guys, like, man, like, I have so much respect for those guys because, the style you see now in wrestling, they pretty much brought that to the States. I know it's like it was a Toryumon style, like Dragon Gate at the time, but they were the ones to bring it to the States. They brought it to the Indies and it just exploded. And now that's like the standard for indie wrestling is like the style they introduced to the United States.
Yeah.
So nothing but respect for those guys, man, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, they were definitely
Great guys.
pioneers. And I mean, the first time I ever
Oh
saw them
man.
do their two-man Spanish fly, it just blew my mind. Like, what a
Whew,
move, what a finish.
man, I remember hearing about it and I was like, what? A double backflip rock bottom? I was like, nah, no way.
Yeah.
Then I actually saw it. I was like, holy shit. It's so, when you think about it, it's so simple, especially if you're a guy who can do a moonsault. You're like, ah, man, that's simple as hell. But to think of that is it's kind of crazy, man. At that time, it's like, man, I wish I would have thought of it.
No.
I'll tell
And I
you
mean,
that.
I look back at that and I'm like, nowadays we see guys, myself included, who
Hmm.
do a Spanish fly. But it
Yeah,
actually started from the two-man Spanish fly with
yeah,
the
yeah, for
Maximos.
sure.
And so I
Hmm.
kind of think that they even went one further step ahead, making it a two-man finish that now evolved into a singles kind of finishing maneuver
Yeah.
that guys do. And they don't get enough credit, like you said. I mean, they innovated a lot of stuff that you see today, you see
Oh,
everywhere, and
man.
not a lot of people know it came from those guys.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it's cool to see that even though the team may not be as active now, their legacy still lives on through so many wrestlers and so many great wrestlers coming out of the New York, New Jersey area, much like
Yes, for
yourself.
sure.
So
Hmm.
now, fast forwarding on to when you and I met, which was I'm thinking it was maybe around 2013, I want to say, at
Yeah.
around that time at New England
Hmm.
Championship Wrestling, run by Sheldon Goldberg. He's a promoter.
Oh,
I think the world of that man. He one of the
oh, yeah, me too, man.
first ones to give me a chance in the United States to
Hmm.
perform on his show, perform on television. And I remember when he first told me, "Oh yeah, we're bringing in the house party," and I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
who's the house party?" I don't. He was telling it to me. He was saying, we're stepping up things here. We're bringing in better talent, and then he's telling me, we're going to have a lot of better guys for you to work with. And he's like, we're bringing in the house
Yeah.
party. And I'm kind of like, who's the house party? And he's like, oh, well, they had another name before. They used to wrestle. I think they were called like, Money is Legal or something. I'm like, oh, yeah, those guys. I'm like, yeah, I've heard about them for
Yeah.
years. So, I was
Hmm.
ecstatic to see you guys in the locker room, guys that could work, guys with a solid gimmick.
Oh, yeah.
Let's face facts. It was nice to have a few other brothers in the locker room too, and
Of
in
course, it's always
Massachusetts.
good. That's
And
always good, man.
I know we didn't get the chance to work, and I do hope that we do down the line. But tell me about this, making the
Hmm.
transition from All Money Is Legal to the house party, and I think that's where the boombox kind of
Yeah,
first
yeah,
came into play. What
yeah.
was that transition? What made you
The tra-
decide to change things up?
well, the transition came after we first toured Japan. Because when we toured Japan, they basically changed our theme music and our names. That's why they came up with the name Buffa, and they gave me the Stevie Wonder part-time lover theme. because hip hop in Japan is popular, but they confuse it with reggae music.
Mm.
That's another reason why they gave me like the nickname American Reggae. Because people say, oh, reggae, reggae. I'm like, no, hip hop. Like, yeah, hip hop, reggae. So I was just like, hey, okay, I guess hip hop is reggae in Japan, you know? So when we got back to the States, we was like, man, we need to change it up a little bit because we was as products of our environment, with name all money is legal, K push it, K murder. We're baby faces and we have kids in the crowd chanting push up, murder. So we was like, and with the name, people always say like a lot of the guys would be like, that's kind of a hill name. And we'd be like, yeah, but coming from where we come from, it makes sense. And like they didn't really understand. So we were big fans of Kid and Play. So I was like, man, I would love to switch up the image. And I had braids. We both had braids at the time. So I was like, man, I would love to get the old school high top fade.
Mm.
But I'm like, damn, do I really want to walk around the streets with that damn thing? Because the maintenance on that is just crazy. You gotta maintain that like, oh man. You gotta find a good barber, number one, and that's really hard to find. So I was like, I don't want to really make that commitment. So I was like, you know what? Let's switch out the kick pads and let's start wearing Adidas. So it was at first it was a play off of Run DMC. I was like, all right, let's kind of do that kind of deal, that image, throw it back old school, and we'll just go from there. And it just like morphed into like what it became and what I am today, which is Buffa with the Kango hats, because everybody always used to say, oh man, you look like LL Cool J. So I was like, you know what? Let me take on the LL Cool J look, because he's my favorite rapper. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think that'll hit. The Kango hat, the big gold rope chain, the boombox and all that. I was like, if you change up the image, it would draw more eyes to us. Because once you come out the curtains, you're selling yourself before you even do the moves. The moves don't even matter. It's a personality that matters. So I was like, we need something that's gonna like connect, that people can like relate with. So I was like, let's get the boom box, the hat, the chain, the glasses, and the Adidas, and just go from there. And it took off, man.
Yep. No, definitely. And I mean, it's definitely a highlight every time I see it, whether it be
Hmm.
one of those fantastic GIFs or short clips that you post on your social
Yeah.
media,
Hmm.
or whether it be when I get the chance to watch an episode of MKW Blast Off, which is a
Yeah.
fantastic show. I encourage everyone out there to check out if you want to see,
Hmm.
the very best in wrestling out of China.
So.
So now, what's always intrigued me is because I've kind of kept in touch, kind of been
Yeah.
watching what you're doing, and obviously you're here on the show because I think it's worth getting the word out there and getting more eyes on you. But when I
Hmm.
first saw a clip of what you were doing over there, one of the other things I was very impressed by was the fact that you looked. You kind of looked like the guy I remembered, but man, you really buffed up.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And so I mean that impressed the hell out of me too. That I'm like, hey, this
Hmm.
guy, I remember him looking like, maybe he was, around 100, 200 pounds, but now the
Yeah.
guy's jacked. So I mean, did you just,
Hmm.
throw yourself right into it, dedicate yourself to the training, to the heavy lifting? How did that come about?
Man, I got sick of being thrown around by big guys all the damn time. But that was like one of the things like a lot of promoters and wrestlers who saw we saw us like, man, if you guys just beefed up, yeah, like opportunities would just open up for you guys because you guys you have the look, you guys can work, but you're too small.
Hmm.
So I was just like, man, we was always focused on like just learning the art, being the best wrestlers we could possibly be. Because at the time, like in the early 2000s, like a lot of wrestlers would look down on the big jack guys because a lot of the times the jack guys didn't know how to work,
Hmm.
you know? So he was like, man, get big for what? Just to be looked down upon like this guy over here. So it wasn't until I say 2000 and I think 5 that we started to beef up, man. Just hit the gym and just like, man, let's make a change, man, because we've been going hard, doing good for a few years, but we're still skinny. These two skinny kids from the Bronx, it's like we're making everybody look good, and it's like, man, like you're not gonna get too many opportunities just being a guy, just being a good hand, you know.
Yep.
You need to have more to offer, you know. You need to sell yourself more. So that's why we started to switch things up. Like one thing that we was always good at is like having our gear on point. We always had like different gear like every show. So we would always get compliments about that. And I was like, man, the only thing we're missing is the size. So that's when we started to dedicate ourselves and things really took off from there
Hmm.
when we
Oh,
got bigger,
definitely.
you know? Yeah, man.
And I think it was at a time too in wrestling. I remember like when I started, which
Hmm.
was back in 2005 was when I really started wrestling every single week, and that was at a time where wrestlers were huge. I mean, like
Oh, man.
the idea of the average guy coming in off the street, and no matter how much talent he had, or how big you were, like these guys on TV, they were
Hmm.
massive.
Oh,
Now
jeez.
nowadays we see a lot of guys on TV almost kind of looking like the old All Money is Legal, like you guys before you ever started dedicating yourself to that.
Ah,
Tons of guys
yo.
with jobs all over. So I look at it now that I think that personally you made a very good investment in yourself to
Hmm.
now stand out even more. Amazing how like it all
Yeah.
kind of goes full circle in this business. It's very cyclical.
Oh, man.
And so
Absolutely, man.
been wondering about now the transition into singles wrestling. When did you put the tag
Oh,
team
man.
behind you and focus on your singles career?
Man, that wasn't by choice at all. Man, it's like I've I've had two careers, the tag team and the singles career, and that happened because my brother has two kids, and I say like 2003, 2000 and not 2003, 2013, 14. For us, like the business, business was kind of going down for us. We was in NECW, but a lot of companies were closing. You know, the money wasn't there, the bookings wasn't there, and my brother was like, "Man, I have two kids, man. Like, I can't really do this wrestling thing right now." So he was like, "Man, I gotta move out to Florida and make a new life. Get my shit together." And he was just like, "Man, just go back out to Japan, move to Japan." Like we always planned. Our plan was to move to Japan full time. We was talking with the promoter at the time. He was ready to get us our passports and all that. Not our passports, our work visas.
Visas, yeah.
So he was all with it. But then a few things happened that I'll speak about it offline.
Okay, yeah, it's all good.
But he couldn't like make the move at the time. So he said, move out to Japan, and when the time is right, I'll be back with you. So that's when I made the decision to move back to Japan full time, and
And what year was that?
this this was 2014.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah, the last.
right after we had
Yeah,
met.
yeah. Actually, our last tag team match was in NECW.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. No better place to end it, man.
Look at that. So you've
Hmm.
been in Asia ever since 2014.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Ever since.
And what are some of the promotions that you started working for when you went over there? What was your journey, let's say, before MKW?
Pro Wrestling 01 in Japan. Then from there, I went to South Korea for WWA. From South Korea, I went to Nepal for a company there. From there, I went to Myanmar for what was it? MMW, I think it was. Then after I left 01, I went to Macau, and from Macau, I went to Taiwan. From Taiwan, I went to Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, I went to I think Mexico.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, and China as well. You know, mainland China where I'm at currently. So it's just like a lot of back and forth, man.
mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what we got to do to get noticed here in the business. And
Oh man, for sure.
I think that it's definitely paid off on your end in terms of the skills
Hmm.
you were able to learn all that time while going to those different places and working with a lot of different talent. Skills that you can now bring to MKW, which seems like that's your main gig at the moment, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
my main gig.
And
Yeah.
so for the fans who don't know about MKW, I discovered them through this gentleman. Just happened to post a random clip, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna check this out. I'm really curious
Yeah.
because I like what I see, and I started watching it, and I'm entertained by it every week. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about off air, I love the fact that you're seeing the grassroots of wrestling
Hmm.
starting from an audience that
Yeah.
knows nothing about it,
Hmm.
talent being developed in a country that is not a wrestling powerhouse like a United States, a
Yeah.
Mexico, a Japan, etc.
Hmm.
And it's amazing to watch the growth of this talent and to watch veteran talent go there, reinvent themselves, and work
Hmm.
with this new generation. And I think that
Yes.
China is going to be a dominant force in professional wrestling. I think they'll
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
fall in love with it
Hmm.
as they have been already. And I've enjoyed seeing that. So now, how long have you been working with MKW? When did that start?
That started I would say 3 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And
about 3 years ago.
okay. And what I learned recently was that MKW, if I'm not mistaken, was actually started by an American.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 And,
Adrian Gomez.
yeah. I recently read an article that they did on him. It was very insightful. I mean, I love everything that comes out of MKW. It's very refreshing to watch.
Yeah.
And for those of you who want to check it out, if you want to check out episode 20, which was their season finale, it features a hell of a lot of this man appearing
Yeah.
in 3 segments, 1 promo, 2 matches.
Yeah.
Um, and you're always a highlight on there. I think you
Thanks, man.
always bring the entertainment. Even if you happen to be performing, in a mall in front of people who just want to, go about their day buying things and don't know what wrestling is, I see you working your ass off in there, trying to get those
Yeah,
people
man.
engaged, get them clapping,
Oh.
give them a good time. And
Hmm.
I think that in itself speaks volumes to you as a performer. Um,
Yeah.
but
Thanks.
now I want to talk a bit about the behind the scenes of MKW because I know they also have a training school and a lot of their talent is learning. Do you get the
Yes.
opportunity to work with a lot of the talent too outside the ring, outside of the show?
I'm actually an agent
Okay.
at MKW for the matches that take place at the tapings. But being that I live in Shenzhen, which is about a 3-hour flight from Harbin, which is where the wrestling school is located, I haven't had a chance to really have like, hands-on training with them. But I speak to them through, message like WeChat, which is like the freaking Facebook social media of China. So I speak to them through WeChat, but I haven't gotten the chance to really like get to the school and actually get hands-on-hand training with them.
Mm.
But I help them out a lot, like a lot of the guys, as
Yep.
much as I can through
And,
message.
and I feel that one of the people who's benefited the most is your tag team partner, DC Chen, who
Oh man,
I'm very impressed by him on a weekly basis. The kid can really go.
man, he's learning so quickly, man. And a lot of that has to do with his original trainer, Zombie Dragon, who was the trainer of the school up until like I think a few months ago. He's not the trainer right now, but he trained a lot of the guys in the beginning. So a lot of the credit has to go to him. But I help out with DC as much as I can, man. Like he's probably the fastest rising Chinese wrestler that I've seen, and man, since I've been here, honestly. He listens and he applies all the knowledge that's given to him, and that's all I ever ask for, man. Like, if you want the knowledge, soak it in, but don't just soak it in, apply it, you know, which is what a lot of guys don't do, and it's upsetting, you know.
Yeah, no, I know how that is, and I've trained a few people in my day too, and sometimes there'll be people who will be like sponges. Like I still consider myself a sponge, and I don't discriminate no matter who I
Right.
talk with. I got the
Yeah.
chance to do a podcast with yourself, who I think you're maybe about 3-4 years older than
Yeah.
me. Probably got much more experience than me in the business in terms of those years. So I know talking to you, I can learn. I know talking to just about anybody on here, there's
Hmm.
knowledge that can be absorbed, and people need to be like sponges because you can learn from anybody.
Yes, man. Oh, hell yeah,
Unfortunately,
for sure.
there's a lot of people who, can go in one ear, out the other. They fix one mistake you tell them about. Then they make another one. You tell them about that one. They forgot the first one. I know what that's like, and I've always tried to not be that person. And I think the
Yeah.
best wrestlers are the ones who are able to take and apply and correct all the
Hmm.
little criticisms to help make them as polished and as complete as possible. And I can definitely see with DC on a weekly basis,
Hmm.
regardless of who his opponent is, too.
Yeah.
He holds up his end of the match because I've seen him in there against some people less talented than him. I'll be polite.
Yeah.
I've seen him in there with guys, like Zombie Dragon, who can go and who can
Hmm.
carry him to
Yes.
a higher level. But he's very consistent in his performances. And I see a lot of great talent there, even the homegrown talent. Even a guy
Yeah.
like Ma, who you had the chance to
Oh man.
work a great rivalry with, and this guy, I mean, if you guys haven't seen Ma, he's definitely one of the
He's
standouts
he's
of
solid,
MKW.
man. He's
And
solid.
what I like about him is that he's got the size and he
Hmm.
got the self-awareness,
Yeah.
the intensity. He knows he's a monster within there. He has a presence,
Yeah.
and the work matches the look. And I definitely think big things for him. I don't know how old he is or how long he's been in the business, but he's the kind of guy that I feel like MKW
Yeah.
should get him under some kind of a long-term contract. Otherwise, the big companies are going to come calling and scoop him
Oh
up
yeah,
any day
man.
now.
I definitely see that happening, man. And he's been wrestling since he was 15. He's what, 22 right now?
Okay.
So he's been around for a little while. He's trained in Japan. He's trained in IGF. So he has experience behind him, even though he's so young. But I've started when I was 15, so
Hmm.
I see a lot of myself in him. That's why, like, I took him under my wing.
Yep.
And man, it sucks that he got injured, man.
Hmm.
Cause damn, man, like he was on the road, man. He was doing some good things, and I see great things for him in the future for sure, man. Once he
Yeah.
heals up
Especially
and gets
especially
back in there.
if he's that young and he's already that good.
Yeah, man.
That's impressive to see. I didn't know he was that young. I assumed he
Yeah.
was maybe late 20s, but definitely. And I know that you and him had the rivalry of the year for 2020,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
sure he learned a lot from that. And
Oh, for
I mean,
sure.
there's a lot of great talent there. I see guys like Cold Ray. I see guys like your partner like DC.
Hmm.
A lot of guys that and maybe 5 years from now we'll be talking about them as some of the top guys in
Oh
China,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
it's really cool to see. I noticed that a lot of the matches seem to have like a Western wrestler paired up with
Yeah.
a Chinese wrestler. Is that by design to maybe help them kind of pick up some
Oh yeah.
skills? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is, man. Because a lot of these guys have, like the Chinese guys, some of the younger ones, they have the same level of experience.
Mm.
So it's not going to help them wrestling each other. It's not much they're going to learn by wrestling each other. So it's best for them to wrestle some of the more experienced guys, some of the
Yeah.
more experienced foreigners.
Yeah. Oh,
So and
definitely.
it's been working out. It's been working out pretty good.
And have some of them been able to branch out of MKW, maybe pick up some bookings, other places?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's been a few. Because there's a few other companies that run in China, so a lot of the guys have been able to pick up bookings and wrestle in front of like different crowds and wrestle different people. So they've been proven, you know.
No, it's good
Yeah.
to see. And you and I talked off air yesterday
Hmm.
actually about how there are certain difficulties that they may face, if they want to, let's
Yeah.
say, come over to the United States, especially at a time
Hmm.
like now. But it's a difficult
Yeah.
thing for all of us.
Oh
Um,
man.
but I definitely think that if those companies over in the U.S. Want to bring in or want to connect with the Chinese market, MKW is definitely a place they should be keeping their eyes on, because these guys are going to be the future of wrestling in a country that,
Absolutely.
a country where there's billions of people, a lot more people than in your country and my country combined.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once that market gets tapped, it's going to be huge. So
Oh
I think
man.
we're seeing the beginning of something that could be, a big game changer in wrestling. And it wouldn't surprise me if even someone like yourself, for the amount of years that you spent there, might be approached
Yeah.
sometime soon by one of the big guys. Do you still have hopes of maybe wrestling for a bigger organization, a WWE or an AEW? Do you follow their products?
I don't really follow the product. I don't watch much of current wrestling. I'm always watching the oldies, stuff we grew up on and just studying. Cause I don't like man, it's hard to watch current wrestling, man, because it's changed so much. So I'm always watching and like, why's he doing this? Why's he doing that? Like, what the hell's going on? So I'm not gonna trigger myself by watching it. So I try to stay away from it. You know, I know you understand.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I
But
still watch as a journalist. I watch, and
oh yeah, yeah.
as a performer, I feel it's my duty to watch, to know what's going on, even if I don't like it. Which
Mhm.
it's 50-50 for me. Sometimes I like what I
Yeah.
see. Sometimes I
Mhm.
don't. But
Oh
you
yeah.
even got to
Yeah.
know. You even got to know the bad, so you know how to not fall
Mhm.
into that same kind of trap, the
Ah,
same kind of
yeah, for
pitfall.
sure.
Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, like I said, I look at
I
someone
totally agree.
like yourself, and I feel like if someone is looking up wrestlers in China, they see a guy like you.
Mhm.
I'd say about 240, 250 pounds of solid muscle, maybe more. Clearly got his act together on the microphone. Loaded with charisma and can go in the ring. You
Yeah.
got all the tools to be a top player, I think, in this game. And
Mhm.
it wouldn't surprise me if
Uh,
someone finally gets it together, if there is any
yeah.
scouting in wrestling, but I think there is, and they see what you're doing and say, hey, you know what, this deserves to be on a bigger
Mhm.
stage, on under the brightest spotlights in the world. It really wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me. But I mean,
Yeah, man.
but to frame it to you
I,
in a question, is that still something that you would want?
oh yeah, that's definitely a goal. One of my goals, one of the only goals I have left in wrestling is one to, open up my dojo and promotion here in China, which I'm working on right now. And the other goal is to, get the, national TV exposure in the States, you
Mhm.
know, get the contract and be wrestling on TV every week. That goal is still there, but if it comes, great. If it doesn't, great. Like, it's not gonna make or break me. I'm okay if it doesn't come. If it comes, awesome, But I'm not too focused on that right now. Like, I've done, the tryouts for WWE at the Performance Center, So I pursued it. I've contacted some of the bigger companies in the past. Sometimes I got a reply, other times I didn't. So I was just like, you know what? Why focus on that? Because really, in the state we're in right now, for me to leave China and leave everything behind to go back to wrestling in the States, it would be a big deal for me because I don't consider myself as someone who lives in the States anymore. I live in China. This is my home now. So it has to be cash and creative. Like those two things have to be on point for me to just up and leave China because I have my hands in a lot of things here, and I'm not just gonna give that up to for ego. Just put it that way, for ego, just to be on TV and say, hey, I signed with this company. Like at the end of the day, for me, that's all ego. That's not gonna bring me happiness. I'm happy right now. So do I need it? No. Do I want it? Yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, that's just my ego talking. So I try not to, move off of ego. So I just,
Yep.
yeah, you know, we'll see what happens.
No,
Either way,
that's
I'm
a
good.
very very based answer, totally grounded in reality, and
Hmm.
I like you can't really put a price on happiness, and so if
Yeah.
what you're doing makes you happy, I
Hmm.
understand that it's pretty hard to compromise that, to give that up,
Yeah.
especially when you clearly got a good thing going over there on your end. Now,
Hmm.
speaking of China, I'd be remiss if we don't discuss a bit of what you guys have gone through in terms of this pandemic that we're living through. What was that
Man.
like over on your end?
Whoo, boy. Man, that was insane. That was crazy, man. I was like, what the hell? What the hell am I gonna do? What the hell is gonna happen back home? Because I knew it was gonna hit the States, it was gonna hit everywhere else. Because we were like, what, maybe a month ahead of everybody else dealing with the
Mm,
COVID. So I had an opportunity to leave, but I live here with my girlfriend and our two dogs and cat.
mm,
So I was like, man, I'm not just gonna up and leave her just to run back home because of some damn COVID. Like, there wasn't much like information about it at the time.
mm,
So I was like, man, let me just weigh it out, man. Like, I'm not gonna run home because when I first went to Japan, I was there during a big earthquake and tsunami.
mm.
And when I was there, everybody was like, "Oh, come home, come home." And I'm like, I feel safe. Like, I'm the one here dealing with this. If I feel it's time to leave, I'm gonna leave. I'm not just gonna stay back if I don't feel safe. But I felt safe. And the same thing with, the virus. I was like, man, for some reason, I feel safe. I feel like I'll be okay. So I'm not just gonna rush out, leave my girl behind, you know,
Mhm.
just to go home when I know it's gonna hit the States like any time now, and I'm gonna be dealing with it there. So it was a tough time, man, because that was the longest I've been out of the ring since I was 15 years old.
Well,
Because I've been going strong, hard, like since then. Then having everything shut down, I can't even work for
yeah.
freaking like 6 months. It was tough, man. It
And
was really tough.
correct me if I'm wrong, Buffa, but wrestling, it's also your full time job. This is your employment too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
I mean, right now, not so much because I have a business with my girlfriend, a clothing business that's doing very well, and
Mm,
I'm about to launch my own clothing company as well. And we could talk about that maybe another time.
yeah. Yeah. It's all good.
But it's gonna be like it's basically like I wanna provide the wrestlers here in China with custom wrestling gear, good custom wrestling gear.
Hmm.
So it's gonna be a mix of everything. I'm gonna be making wrestling gear, like gym wear, street wear, things along those lines. A mix of everything.
And hey, if you
So
need a brand ambassador here in North America,
ah,
I'd be
bro,
happy to work out a deal with you and
hey,
wear anything you got.
bro, you don't even have to ask.
Well, I said it here.
I'm be hooking you up, bro.
It's I said it. It's on the record. So I mean, if I don't come through on my end, they're going to crucify me on our in our comments. So
Bro.
I'm happy to help a brother out, especially someone who I've crossed paths with. Has been so kind to
Hmm.
me throughout the years, and
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that. And
Hmm.
just getting back on track here with everything. I mean, we're under one of the strictest lockdowns, the strictest lockdown in all
Yeah,
of
man.
North America, from the tip of the Arctic down to where South America begins. There is no place under a stricter restriction than Quebec. And we're under a curfew, 8 o'clock. You go out after 8 without a reason, you're looking at facing up to a $6,000 fine. So we got to be in our homes. Stores can only sell essentials, so there'll be whole aisles of stores that are closed off. Can't sell, things that are not essential. So pretty much like food and things that are,
Yeah.
essential. So we're under this strict lockdown now. Did you guys have to face any restrictions out there? Any tough restrictions in China when this was at the start?
The area that I live in, not so much, because we don't have that many cases. and Shenzhen.
Mm,
So we were okay. The only restrictions we had was, we had to, you know, show the health code, the
okay.
QR code. Whenever we would go inside like malls or government buildings or restaurants,
Hmm.
we had to show the code, and that was about it, man. So it wasn't as bad as a lot of other areas in China,
Now,
thankfully.
real quick, when you say show the code, that's kind of going over my head a bit. How does that work?
Well, there's a health code you need that'll let everyone know that you're COVID free. So once you get this, you got to download the app, and the code is on the app. So it'll tell anyone who asks or needs to scan the code that you're COVID free. It's a health code that everyone needs on their phone,
Okay.
which is
So,
crazy.
so is there some kind of like, is this for people who are tested? Like they got the test is negative?
No, no, not even because they haven't really been pushing the test out here. Not in this area. That's for sure. I've never taken a COVID test.
Okay.
So it's certain areas of China because China is freaking huge.
Yeah.
So it hasn't hit this area yet. The
So,
test,
just
thankfully.
just so I understand, because I mean, we got testing going on here. We got
Mhm.
vaccines that are rolling out, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's that if you're not infected, you have this code. If you do get
Mhm.
infected, then I assume you have another one, and you can't really go about your day-to-day business the way someone else wouldn't. So is that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
how it works? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Absolutely.
understand. I'm trying to understand just because I think it's been handled very poorly here
Yeah.
in Quebec. The rest of Canada,
Mhm.
they've been doing okay. They haven't been dealing with as many cases, but it's been handled really badly here. Strict
Mhm.
restrictions, businesses are dying, people are committing suicide. It's just been really bad for morale, and the
Oh man.
government is more concerned here with fighting with our country's government. So the provincial government is more concerned with fighting with the country's government over all the semantics of this, while putting the people under these strict restrictions because they've failed over and over and over again to be able to get cases down.
Yeah.
So I kind of think they're playing a bit of a good cop, bad cop kind of thing,
Yeah.
where they're going to put severe stuff in place and then say, well,
Mhm.
now we're getting rid of it. Now we're the good guys. Now when the election's coming up, remember that we were good to you. And whether people remember or not, that I don't know. But it sounds like you guys have done a great job over in China of
Yeah.
keeping this under control and making sure that people can still live their lives with freedom, unlike here, which is funny. And I don't want to get too political, but I mean, when people look at China,
Hey
they
man.
they
Yo.
think, oh, it's a communist country. Oh, they don't do business the right way over there. Yet you guys are the ones now living life with
Mhm.
freedom and luxury and all these great things, and showing that you have people with actual knowledge and brain power that can fight this thing while not compromising the citizens. And here we're the ones living like we're a third world country under a dictator. So kudos to you guys over there. I think you've done a great job,
Yo,
and hopefully this is the end of that, and things can only get better.
man, I'm hoping, man, because it was crazy to see how things were at first, like, China this, China that. Then a month later, everyone else is just like, oh, what the hell? Everybody's going through the same thing I was going through for, like a month earlier,
Hmm.
which was crazy to see, man. I was like, damn. Like,
Well,
wow.
I was gonna say, one of the things I really liked was when we connected about doing this interview. I appreciated that you had said that you had followed some of my stuff. You mentioned watching it on Hannibal TV. I was very
Man.
flattered by that because I'm cool to know that you're a fan of me as much as I'm a fan of you and the
Oh, yeah,
success
for
that
sure,
you've
man.
had in the business. I do hope that we'll get to have a match one day, which is
Yeah, me too, man.
it's definitely up there on my bucket list. I'd like for that to happen. Maybe we could even team. Maybe we could
Hey,
make it
man.
a. Maybe we could even do a 6-man, and we could make it like 2C 2NY. Canada, China, New York. I think that's got a good ring
Yes,
to it.
man.
But
Hey, works for me.
but yeah, no, I'd love to one day come down your way and perform there in China. I think there's a lot of guys like most of the ones I mentioned. I'd love to sink my teeth into, and I think we could do a lot of good
Hmm.
business.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure.
How are things looking in terms of getting back to doing shows with fans now? Is that on the horizon? You guys got some tapings coming up, or?
The taping that we had scheduled in January was canceled because there was a few cases within Harbin, so Harbin got put on lockdown again. So that got pushed. Those set of tapings got pushed to February, but they're still on lockdown. So I'm hoping March, man.
Hmm.
I'm hoping March they'll be back up and running. But I've performed in front of fans. When was it? I think it was back in December, but for a different company, CWE,
Hmm.
Chinese Wrestling and Entertainment. Like we performed in front of fans, and it was solid, man. So as far as like the fans being in attendance, I mean, there's really no problem with that at this point in time. But different areas of China is kind of still going through the lockdown because of the new cases that
Hmm.
came up. So as far as Harden, I think it'll probably still be like maybe like 20 fans in attendance, but I don't think it'll be full crowds just yet. I don't I don't see that happening until maybe late spring, early
Hmm.
summer.
Yeah.
I'll see
Well, I
fans fully
mean,
back.
in any case, better later than never. And it
Oh
seems like
yeah.
you guys are on the right track. And like we've talked about, as soon as they give that green
hmm
light that international talent can come over,
Oh
I'm ready to head over at a
man.
moment's notice, and we can
Yes, bro.
we can either be friends or we can be rivals. But I think that there's money in both. And
For sure.
take it from the Canadian champion over here of Great North Wrestling. I think there'd be a lot of eyes. I can get a lot of eyes from
hmm
Canada and from North America on that company if I was to head over
Yeah.
there and do business. And so maybe we could
Hey
ask the
man.
fans. I'll ask my producer, man. Maybe we could put a graphic together and, get some comments and see who would want to see Jeremy Prophet and
Yes.
Buffa on there doing their thing, either as a team or going one-on-one. I
I
tell you,
like that.
it'd be a dream come true to get to work with you and to explore a new country, a new market. Would absolutely love it.
Well, just
Yes,
to chime
man.
in here, for people watching and for them to get more involved, just maybe you said you manage a couple promotions, so anything like you want us here to watch and want us to tell our fans about, let us know right here. What are the promotions for us to watch and follow and all that stuff?
Well, the a lot of them aren't up and running right now, but I would say to check out HKWF, which is run by former WWE superstar Ho Ho Lung,
Hmm.
Hong Kong Wrestling Federation.
He was in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he has a great company that had to go on hiatus because of the
Hmm.
COVID, unfortunately. But man, that crowd in Hong Kong is man insane. Like you can see like some of like I put up clips from a few of their shows, but if you go to their Instagram, I think it's HKWF Wrestling or Hong Kong Wrestling Federation. Just hit it in the search. You could check it out. A lot of clips from there. They have a working relationship with Dragon Gate.
Okay.
So a lot of Dragon Gate guys have come in and wrestled on the shows, and they've done joint shows together. So that's a good one outside of, MKW. Another one that was out here too that I first started wrestling for was KOPW, King of Pro
Hmm.
Wrestling. They're not running as consistently now, but if you look at some of their old stuff, like it was solid. Like their production value was on point. So you can check out KOPW, King of Pro Wrestling. You can I say check out their YouTube. They have a lot of like the old shows, so you can see
Hmm.
like their crowd, their production, the matches there as well. A few guys have been there, like NXT guys, Sam Bradwell, the Grizzly Young Vets have been there. I've
Okay.
been there. Ho Ho Loon, a lot of guys, man. Solid matches. I think the fans will, get a kick out of that to see, the Chinese fans how they react to the pro wrestling and the production in China is like top notch, man.
Yeah.
That's
No,
one thing I
definitely.
always hear from people, man. They're like, oh man, damn, the production value is fucking great. I'm like, yeah, man, it's China for you. They go
Yeah.
all out, man.
No,
It's
in
all about the
anything,
production.
production value is so important, and it's
Oh
what makes the
man.
show watchable, enjoyable, and is complemented
Hmm.
by the in-ring action. Done
Yeah.
by guys like us. So they make us look
Yeah.
good, and we try our best to make the product look good. And I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
definitely something that's on point. And
Yeah.
if I come over there, I will even do my best to learn some Mandarin too. Because I have
Man.
watched the entire War of the Three Kingdoms, and I'm just about finishing the Advisors Alliance. So I watch it with English subtitles, and I've managed to pick up a few words here and there. I can kind of say like good and emperor and general, but I'm learning every day.
I'm still learning, man.
Oh, we have a high school friend living in China that teaches English, Jeremy. You could practice with him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends here that English teachers. Man, I still don't even know it fluently, but I want to. But part of me is like, do I really want to know what the hell these people are saying behind my back?
You could always
I don't
learn
know.
and just not tell them, and that way you'll understand. They won't know you speak it.
That's that's why I just want to like freak them out and just like hit them with a sentence out of nowhere and have them like, oh,
Yeah.
or
So
shocked, But I
so
don't know.
so
I'll,
I know there's no translation for it probably, but you got to tell our listeners out there, how did you come up with the ayo?
that's old school New York City lingo, man. That's like a lot of like guys just walking around the hood and just like, hey yo. There's somebody just come out of nowhere. I just randomly, I will always hear that in the streets. That's kind of like, somebody say, hey, what's up? So I was
No.
like, man, I wanna go back to my roots,
Mm. Yeah,
things
yeah.
that made me who I am, and like bring that to the wrestling business. So I was like, man, I need like something cool because we grew up on the Attitude Era. Everybody had a catchphrase. I was like, man, what can I think of? And I was like, hey yo, so, oh, wait a second, hey yo. And my brother used to say, I was like, yo, let's roll with that. That's New York City all day. So once I started saying it, man, it just hit. Like people would just say it after me, and I was like, okay, I got that. I think I'll stick with that.
No, that's
And it
good. That's
worked,
good.
man.
And it's definitely original and it's catching on.
Hmm.
And it's important to have that catchphrase, that kind of branding. And I think what's cool, like in your case, is you look at any company you've gone to out there, you're one of a
Hmm.
kind. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of what you put online and everything, and the emphasis on, you need that charisma, you need that
Oh
ability to
man,
connect with the audience. The moves don't matter, but it's you got to have that
it
connection.
doesn't, man. Anybody could do the moves, man. That's the easy part. The psychology and the charisma is a hard part.
Yeah.
Like you can't teach the charisma. You either have it or you don't. But you can teach, the moves. You can teach psychology. So, like, man, like, cause when I first started, I always had the charisma, but I never really showed it as much. Cause I was like, oh man, I want to be a wrestler, 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 wrestler. I was so focused on learning the art and being good at it that I didn't really want to show too much charisma. I would let my brother like
Mm.
do all that, and I was like, man, I don't want us to be like too much the same. I
Yeah.
want there
Yeah.
to be like a difference between the both of us. Well, it's like looking back now, I was like, man, I should have just been myself the whole time.
Mm.
It was like I was myself, but I was trying so hard not to be for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we
But
all go through that journey in wrestling, and we realize things that if we only knew
hmm.
back then. But the best part about it is that it's never too late. You're a
Nope.
veteran of the game, but you
Hmm.
still got your health, you still got your looks, your
Yeah.
charisma, your in ring work, and I think that you can only get better and better as the years go on. And
Oh, for sure, man.
definitely, I hope that you can get that school up and running. I know that's your dream, and I think it's one that's very realistic. Because watching that show, I
Hmm.
can't imagine any young Chinese person watching that and not saying, "Hey, I want to be like that guy," because you know how to put the spotlight on yourself. And definitely think there are big things in the future for you. Have you ever held the MKW championship?
No, 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 no. Not yet.
So
Not
so
yet.
so how long
But I'm
is it?
coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long is it till we finally see you put a hurting on the zombie dragon?
Hey man, whenever the booker man books it,
Hmm.
it'll happen.
Well, you got a win on him in a tag team match there on the
uh,
last episode. Not to
mhm.
spoil it for our fans, who maybe haven't seen it yet, but I guess I just did. So I mean, it looks like things are going in the right direction. You had rivalry of
Mhm.
the year. So I think as a fan, and I am a fan of MKW,
Mhm.
and also as a wrestler, I'd like to see that match happen. I think that would definitely
Yeah.
be one of the top pairings they could
Mhm.
do in terms of booking. I'd
Oh
like to see
yeah,
that.
man. I'm looking forward to it too, man. I've been wanting to work Zombie Dragon 1-on-1 for quite some time now. We've wrestled each other only in tag matches, and we had a three-way at one of the Blast Off shows. I think I don't remember which one it was. I think it was episode 10. We had a three-way, no, a four-way. It was me, Zombie Dragon, Big Sam, and Black Mamba.
Hmm.
We had a four-way, but straight one-on-one, never had it. So I'm hoping the matchmakers make that match because it'll be something special, man.
Yep.
Because
Well,
Zombie
you're
Dragon is solid, man.
Yeah, well, you're on a great platform to do that here. I mean, I'm the kind of guy I like to call my shots. Just about every shot I've called has happened. My latest one is a little bit more weight that I'm taking on my shoulders and trying to get us Canadians here noticed, get us some scouting because you know
That's what's up.
we're really no different than the guys out in China. As funny as it is, you and I talked about it
Yeah.
yesterday,
Hmm.
how it's hard for them to go over the United States, and I get that it's like a days long flight and all that to be able to do it. But
Hmm.
guys like us here, 40 minutes from the border, we face the same kind of restrictions, and nobody is watching what's going on here in Canada. The proof is major companies, the MLWs, the Ring of Honors of the world,
Hmm.
where there's barely any Canadians at all. I think they both only have one employed. So no one's looking at Canada,
Wow.
but I'm trying my best to make enough noise so that they can't deny us. I use the example that Canada is kind of like we're like the Negro leagues in baseball. Where we're kind of kept to ourselves, and
Yeah.
they may do some tryouts just to say, well, we're giving you guys group tryouts, but no one gets
Yeah.
hired from it, no one gets noticed. It's really just a sham, and so it's going to take someone, whether it be me or someone else from here, to finally be that Jackie Robinson to break through to the major leagues and open the door for people behind them, because anyone up till now has kind of just been. They've kind of just been an exception to the rule. They've been someone who's maybe been able to skirt by the border and put in some work in the States and kind of get some merits over there to catch some eyes. Or they've been
Yeah.
someone who've maybe, married an American, got their citizenship that way. Again, I don't want to blow kayfabe on all the guys who are, in top positions here, but, they've been working around the rules. And the thing is that if scouting were on point, whether it be in Canada or in China, then we wouldn't have to do these kind of things, take these kinds of risks,
Yeah.
put our careers in danger, when people should just be saying, hey, let me look up MKW. Who are the top guys over there? Okay, why is Buffa over there? Let's throw $1 million at him and bring him over here. We need some IEO. We need the modern day wrestling LL Cool J on our show. Or we need this kid, MA or DC Chen. These guys, we can develop them. They already got these skills on their own. Now let's give them some proper training. Just like with Canada. Obviously, us being so close to the border, it's a little bit more frustrating. But there should
Yeah.
be scouting in position in every country, in Canada,
Oh,
in
sure.
China, India. The UK already has it.
Yeah.
But
There you go. Yeah.
who's to say that the best wrestlers aren't in some other remote part of the world doing their thing, grinding away, just not getting noticed? And that's what my latest crusade is. Hence why I'm so glad I got the chance to have you on the show here, get some exposure behind you, and get your story out there, because I think you are, much like myself, are a diamond in the rough that more
Oh,
people need to know your story, your
absolutely.
journey. And hopefully this leads to bigger things on both of our ends. Hopefully we get the chance to share a ring together down the line.
Oh,
And
man.
I'm ready for that, for whatever promoter wants to do that, and I know you are, so I think we could do some magic there together. So, I mean, there's a big time difference here. People don't know that, but he is 12 hours, I think 13 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, about 13.
So he's
Yeah.
13
To
hours ahead of
12.
us. So this gentleman was
Yeah.
kind enough to come on here at the ass crack of dawn to talk with us. And
Hey, it's all good, bro. Anything for you, bro.
And like I said,
Anything
if
for you,
ever
bro.
you want to return the favor, I don't mind getting up at any hour because I appreciate the hell out of the fact that you've come on here at such an ungodly hour to talk with us. Now,
cool, man.
Before letting you go, I just want to know, let the people know where they can see you, where they can find you. If you want to plug anything, you have the floor, and I am happy to give it to you. Let people know what you're all about.
Thank you. I appreciate it, bro, for having me on. It's great catching up with you after all these years. I would have rather have done it in the ring, but, with the current situation, that's impossible. But thankfully, we have technology, and it's come so far. We can speak to each other through the phone. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who's tuning into this, who tunes into the podcast every week. This means a lot to us, man. Like, we're in some tough times right now, as everyone knows. But for professional wrestling, it's even tougher because, one, a lot of the shows aren't running consistently, and two, there's no fans in the crowd. And if there are, there's maybe 20 or 30. So it's rough for a lot of us, man, in this industry. And this is the way you guys can support us, and we can give back to all of you through podcasts, interviews, lives, our social medias. And speaking of social media, you can follow me on Instagram at BUFFA_AO. That's 2 A's, Y, 3 O's. Follow me on Facebook at Marcelo Forrest Rhymes. That's Forrest with 2 R's. And my Twitter is BUFFA_AO. So follow me, send me a message, throw up some likes, comments, and I'll get back to you. And keep on supporting my man, Jeremy Prophet, J Pro, as I like to call him.
I very much appreciate those kind words, and I do hope before the two of us hang it up that we'll be able to get in that ring together. Someone will have the clairvoyance to make that happen.
It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. It needs to happen.
I mean, even if we gotta make it happen, in Canada, we'll make this international.
Hey, we can take it to Canada, to the States, China, Japan, Welsh. Anywhere you want to go, man, we're going. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I know you got your passport.
That I do.
Make it happen anywhere, bro.
That I do. Anywhere except maybe the U.S. because, the healthcare situation there needs some improving. So, I don't know. If you hurt me too bad, I might I might go into debt. But no, I don't mean that. I got tons of respect for my brothers from the States. But with that said, no, we're gonna get those graphics. We're gonna get those graphics on the screen, so everyone will know exactly how to spell everything, how to find you. And I encourage them all to follow you. I encourage everyone that follows me to follow this man. I encourage our other podcasts that we share a wonderful network with, the League of Extraordinary Podcasts and beyond, to get this man an interview because he has such a great story. And if you really want to invest in like a stock before it skyrockets, I think you and I might be the top 2 people in there. But I've done a lot of those shows, so I would love to see them have you on as a guest too.
Man, I'm with it.
With that said, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And we can keep in touch. Just because we got this interview finally done, man, you can talk to me anytime. And
hey, man, I'm gonna speak to you after we get off the air.
That sounds good to me. That sounds good to me, man. You're definitely one of my favorite people in the business. I do hope we get to share a ring together.
Likewise, bro.
I think our fans have been very blessed by getting to hear about your wonderful career and hear your words of wisdom and the positivity, especially during these times. So,
and that's just a little bit of the history, man. I'll be back on next time for some more, man.
We'll be happy to have you on anytime, my friend.
Hey, yo, it's your friendly neighborhood homeboy, the hip hopping, globe trotting, throwback in live action music video. And I'm here with my homeboy, Jeremy Prophet. And you can check him out on YouTube, 7 p.m. every goddamn week. Check it out. Hey, yo.